There is a mighty power that moves through every moment of our day, and that power is the spoken word. Words are not idle breath. They are vessels of creation, sparks from the divine mind. When we align our words with truth, beauty, and abundance, we open the invisible doors through which health, joy, love, and prosperity enter. Life is a game of thought, a game of speech, and a game of knowing that spirit never fails. It is not enough to think truth once in the morning and let the hours slip by in unconscious speech. No. The key is repetition, rhythm, and right alignment. That is why this sacred practice, the hourly affirmation, becomes a divine instrument for the soul that seeks to master the art of living. The subconscious mind is a garden, fertile and ever ready. It does not choose what seeds are planted. Whatever we speak, especially with emotion, is buried deep in its soil, and it grows. So we must become vigilant gardeners. If weeds of fear, worry, or limitation have grown wild in your life, now is the time to uproot them with the sword of the word. Every hour, you will water your mind with truth. Every hour, you will rise above appearances and claim the unseen good already prepared for you. Every hour, you will step into your authority as a child of the infinite. Many people go through their day, carried by the current of circumstance. But those who speak their word, those who declare their good hourly, step into the current of divine law, which always says yes to faith, yes to love, yes to the bold declaration of what is in spirit, even if not yet seen in matter. When we affirm every hour, we do not beg, we do not plead, we declare. We know, we speak as one with power, and the law, ever impersonal and ever faithful, sets it in motion. There are no small hours. Every hour is holy. Every hour contains the seed of a miracle. What you do with each hour is what you do with your life. So choose. Choose words of strength, of light, of unwavering peace. Speak not from fear, but from victory already won. For every time you affirm the truth of your being, you are chiseling away the false, and the gold of your soul shines through. Your word goes before you. It prepares the way. It opens doors no man can shut. And it is never too late to begin. Let this be the rhythm of your day. Every 60 minutes, you return to truth. You pause. You speak. You realign. You reclaim. You remember who you are and whose you are. You dissolve worry. You disarm doubt. You replace reaction with divine intention. You enter the hour not as a servant of time, but as a master of divine law. And so, the hourly affirmation becomes your anchor in storm, your sunlight in shadow, your flame in fog. You do not walk alone. The word walks with you. The word goes before you. The word is your shield, your sword, your song, and your supply. The spoken word is creative power. It is not mere sound, nor is it idle expression. It is the very force through which unseen ideas are pressed into form, the channel by which invisible substance becomes visible manifestation. Every word you speak is a decree. Every utterance is a mold into which divine energy flows. Speech is not only communication, it is creation. And the one who understands this becomes a master of life, for they realize they are never speaking empty syllables, they are commanding the law. The power of the word begins in the invisible realm of thought, but it is magnified and set in motion when clothed in language. Thoughts unspoken remain potential, but the moment the tongue gives them sound, the wheels of cause and effect are turned. The universe, infinite and impartial, listens not to the desperation of fear, but to the authority of the word backed by faith. Whether you speak life or death, peace or turmoil, lack or abundance, the law does not question. It obeys. You are always speaking your world into being, whether you know it or not. To speak is to name, and to name is to claim. In the ancient mysteries, the naming of a thing gave power over it. In the Garden of Eden, Adam was given dominion through the act of naming. This symbolic truth points to a greater spiritual law: the tongue holds dominion. That which you call a thing becomes the form it takes in your life. Call it difficult, and so it becomes. Call it blessed, and so it begins to transform. You may not see the change immediately, for the word works first in the invisible, but it never returns void. When you affirm, you are not describing your current condition. You are declaring the truth in spite of it. This is the creative act. The soul does not wait for circumstances to improve before it speaks well of life. It speaks well into the chaos, into the disorder, into the void, just as Spirit spoke over the face of the deep and said, "Let there be." These 4 words are the blueprint for all creation. Let there be light, and light came. Let there be peace, and peace shall unfold. Let there be provision, and supply begins to arrange itself. You are a vessel of that same power, and the spoken word is your tool. Each word is a seed planted in the soil of Spirit. What you sow with your speech, you shall surely reap. Speak limitation, and the field yields struggle. Speak truth, and the harvest comes in with abundance. It is not magic, but law, immutable, exact, and utterly fair. The word draws to itself after its own kind, just as the seed of the apple brings forth apples, and not thorns. Many speak without awareness, and so they suffer the effects of unconscious decrees. They say, "I am always tired," and their body obeys. They declare, "Nothing ever works out for me," and the law of mind moves to fulfill it. There is no jest in the spiritual realm. Even the light-hearted complaint finds soil. Words of fear, resentment, lack, and illness are too often spoken as habits, but the law makes no distinction. It does not filter by intention. It only answers the vibration of the word. Thus, the wise become careful with their speech. Not anxious or rigid, but intentional, reverent, and awake. To speak with power is to understand your inheritance. The word is your spiritual currency. You spend it with each breath. What are you purchasing with your proclamations? What world are you building with your daily dialogue? It is not only in prayer or affirmation that the power lies. It is in casual conversation, in the stories you tell about your life, in how you describe others, and how you describe yourself. Each time you say, "I am," you are invoking the name of the infinite. What you attach to it is sacred. Choose well. Many wonder why their affirmations seem to fail. But the word spoken once, then contradicted 100 times, is weakened. You cannot affirm wealth hourly and complain about money daily. You cannot speak peace in the morning and gossip in the evening. The power of the word is not in the volume or the length. It is in the consistency, the alignment, and the unwavering belief behind it. The universe listens not only to words, but to the vibration within them. A single phrase, spoken with clarity and conviction, has more power than pages read by rote. The creative word is not dependent on external force. It is not shouting into the sky hoping to be heard. It is speaking from the center of being, knowing that Spirit is not afar, but within. When you speak with the understanding that you are the channel of divine utterance, your words take on fire. They are no longer mere hopes. They are declarations. You are no longer asking. You are commanding the law, with humility and certainty. You are no longer wishing. You are stating what is true in the absolute, and claiming it in the relative. Creation begins in the silence, but it is completed through sound. The word gives form to faith. It carves out the channel through which supply flows. It orders the steps of destiny. You do not need many words, but you must choose potent ones. Words filled with love, life, truth, and order. Words that align with the divine pattern, not the worldly illusion. You are not here to repeat the world's opinion. You are here to speak the language of Spirit. That language is precise, harmonious, and unfailing. Even in the face of appearances, your word must remain firm. The spoken word is not a reaction to what is seen, but a declaration of what is unseen and eternal. Speak it until the outer reflects the inner. Speak it when the winds rage, when the clouds gather, and when the ground shakes. For the word is the foundation. It is the rock beneath the shifting sands. And every time you speak the truth, regardless of what surrounds you, you drive your roots deeper into the eternal, and draw power from the unseen source. The greatest gift given to humanity is the ability to speak truth and see it made manifest. The world was spoken into existence. Your world is being spoken into form even now. It is your choice what it shall become. The gift is yours, the law is sure, and the power is waiting on your word. Hourly repetition aligns with divine law. There is a rhythm in the universe, a divine order that governs all things. The tides come and go in perfect harmony with the moon. The sun rises and sets without fail. The heart beats in regular cadence. Breath flows in and out like a sacred tide. All of life operates on cycles, on repetition, on law. To align with this law is to move with the current of spirit rather than against it. Hourly affirmation is not about superstition or mechanical ritual. It is about entering into the divine rhythm where thought, word, and form are harmonized and brought into right order. The universe is structured by law, not chance. Divine law is precise, exact, and unwavering. When you speak an affirmation, it is like striking a tuning fork. One strike may vibrate for a moment, but repeated strikes at regular intervals build resonance. That resonance penetrates the dense fog of doubt and fear. It clears the static of old beliefs. Hourly repetition is not about persuading the divine. It is about reconditioning the mind to receive what has already been given. Spirit has already said yes. But the human mind, crowded with noise, fear, and memory, must be brought into alignment again and again. The conscious mind is easily distracted. It drifts from one idea to the next, pulled by environment, emotion, and habit. But the law does not respond to scattered thought. It responds to clarity, to focus, to unwavering direction. Repetition gives the mind that focus. When you affirm every hour, you are not forcing results. You are steadying your vibration. You are training the conscious mind to return, again and again, to the place of truth. And as the conscious mind repeats, the subconscious begins to absorb. And once absorbed, it begins to create. Hourly repetition is the sacred act of remembering. You remember your wholeness. You remember your power. You remember that you are not subject to appearances, but to the unseen law that governs all form. In every hour, you are given the choice. React to the outer world or realign with the inner truth. Repetition gives you that moment to pause, to reset, to recenter. You are not caught in the current. You become the one who directs it. The law responds to the dominant vibration. One moment of affirmation is a seed, but it must be watered. If you speak your good once, but follow with hours of fear, complaint, and confusion, the soil becomes uncertain. The seed is choked. But if you return to the word every hour, you keep the soil fertile. You keep the vibration clear. You remind the subconscious of its true pattern, and you invite the divine law to operate without interference. Hourly affirmation is not effort, it is alignment. When you affirm hourly, you begin to live in rhythm with spirit. You begin to think in patterns of truth. Just as a musician practices scales until they become second nature, your mind begins to think in terms of faith, joy, and abundance. The gaps where worry once lived begin to close. The idle minutes where fear whispered begin to be filled with the music of truth. You do not have to force belief. You saturate your being until belief becomes natural. Until it is no longer a practice, but a way of being. There is no magic in the number itself. But the hour is a sacred measure. 60 minutes is long enough for the world to distract you, for the mind to wander, for the illusion to return. And so, like the toll of a bell in a monastery, the hourly affirmation becomes a call back to the holy center. It does not matter what the words are, so long as they are true, clear, and aligned with divine principle. You may say, "Divine abundance flows to me now," or "I am one with perfect health," or "All that is mine by divine right is now released to me in perfect timing." These are not wishes. They are spiritual facts spoken into form. Divine law works through repetition. Consider the rain carving canyons, the river shaping stone. It is not by force, but by steady rhythm, that the shape of the world is changed. So too your thoughts shape your world. And hourly affirmation is the rain, the rhythm, the sacred tap, tap, tap of truth against the hardened beliefs of the past. Over time, those beliefs begin to dissolve. New channels are carved. New patterns are established. And the flow of spirit moves through them without resistance. There is a momentum that builds with repetition. Each time you speak your affirmation, you reinforce the channel. Each time you return to truth, you weaken the power of false appearances. Doubt may return, but your hourly word meets it at the gate. Fear may rise, but your hourly truth answers it with authority. In this way, you begin to shift the balance. The scale tips in favor of faith, not fear, of knowing, not hoping, of mastery, not reaction. Repetition also engages the law of expectancy. What you affirm regularly, you begin to expect. What you expect, you begin to recognize. What you recognize, you attract. This is not mental trickery, it is spiritual cause and effect. The world rearranges itself around your dominant belief. Orally repetition does not change God, it changes you. It does not make spirit more willing. It makes you more receptive. And in that receptivity, good flows where once there was blockage. Supply moves where once there was stagnation. Peace arises where once there was confusion. There are those who say, "But I do not feel it. I do not believe it yet." And to them, the answer is continue. For feeling follows thought and belief follows repetition. You do not wait to feel truth before you speak it. You speak it until you feel it. You speak it until the vibration rises to meet the word. The power is not in waiting, it is in doing, in speaking, in returning to the word as one returns to breath, as one returns to prayer, as one returns to the source. Even in the busiest of days, the hourly word becomes a holy pause, a reset, a moment of divine remembrance. Whether spoken aloud, whispered under breath, or declared silently within, it creates a ripple. And over time, those ripples become waves. And those waves shape your reality. You begin to notice things changing, subtly at first, then more clearly. People respond differently. Circumstances begin to flow, opportunities arise. The outer begins to reflect the inner, not because of force, but because of rhythm, because of law, because you have chosen to speak the word in harmony with the divine order of things. The subconscious mind responds to affirmation. It is the silent builder, the deep reservoir of all past thought, emotion, and belief. It does not argue, it does not reason, it does not judge. It simply accepts. It is the soil of the soul, and every word spoken with belief is a seed planted in its fertile ground. Just as a gardener does not question whether the earth will respond, the one who understands spiritual law does not question whether the subconscious will respond. It always does. The only question is, what kind of seed are you planting? The subconscious mind holds within it the patterns of your entire life. Every habit, every reaction, every fear or joy you feel automatically, it was first impressed upon the subconscious. These impressions come from repeated thoughts, emotionally charged words or experiences believed to be true. Once a belief is lodged in the subconscious, it becomes automatic. It governs behavior, attracts people and circumstances, and forms what you call your reality. That is why changing the conscious mind alone is never enough. It is the subconscious that must be re-educated. Affirmations are the tools for that re-education. They are statements of truth, spoken consciously and repeatedly, with the purpose of overriding the old impressions that no longer serve. The subconscious cannot resist a repeated, emotionally charged idea. It takes it in as truth and begins to operate from it. Just as the body heals a cut without your conscious control, the subconscious, once impressed with a new belief, will begin to orchestrate events, draw resources, and shift internal chemistry to align with that belief. The great mistake most people make is thinking they must believe the affirmation from the start. But the subconscious does not require belief at the beginning. It requires repetition. It requires emotional tone. It requires a willingness to suspend doubt and speak the word consistently. Over time, the affirmation seeps below the surface, and something begins to shift. What once felt like a lie begins to feel familiar, then comfortable, then natural, then true. This is why affirmations work slowly at first, and then suddenly. There is often resistance from the conscious mind. This isn't true, it says. This is silly. But the conscious mind is not the builder. It is the guard at the gate. And the wise learn how to soothe it, bypass it, or lull it to sleep through persistence. Affirmations work best when the conscious mind is relaxed. Just before sleep, just upon waking, or in states of quiet reflection. But with hourly affirmation, the conscious mind is slowly reprogrammed too. It begins to accept the new truth, and stops interrupting the process with doubt. The subconscious responds most powerfully to I am statements because they are identity-based. When you say, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am safe, you are not asking for something. You are declaring what is. And the subconscious, faithful servant that it is, begins to reshape the inner world to match the outer declaration. The process may not be visible at first. It may look like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, neural pathways are shifting, energy patterns are realigning, and spiritual laws are responding. You may have spoken negative affirmations for years without knowing it. I always get sick. Money never lasts. No one understands me. These are affirmations too. And they too have been accepted by the subconscious and made manifest. The difference with conscious affirmation is that you now take the reins. You become the master of the words you impress. You no longer let chance or habit rule your inner landscape. You begin to speak deliberately, knowing the power each word carries. Emotion is the carrier wave that delivers the affirmation deep into the subconscious. Speak without emotion, and the seed may sit on the surface. Speak with feeling, gratitude, joy, expectancy, and it sinks deeper. That is why affirmations are not meant to be mechanical, they are sacred. Each time you affirm, you are not just repeating words. You are communicating with the deepest part of yourself, the part that already holds the pattern of perfection. You are saying, this is the new blueprint. Build from this. The subconscious also responds to imagery. When you speak your affirmation, visualize it, feel it, engage all the senses. If you say, I am successful in all I do, see yourself walking confidently, receiving praise, feeling the satisfaction of your achievements. Smell the air, hear the sounds, feel the joy in your body. The subconscious cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. And once it accepts the imagined scene as truth, it begins to bring it about in outer form. There is no limit to what the subconscious can respond to. It governs healing, relationships, finances, creativity, and even the so-called miraculous. But the instruction must be clear and consistent. If you say, I am abundant, but follow it with worry, fear, and contradictory statements, the message becomes muddled. The subconscious does not know which command to follow. That is why repetition is key. Not only hourly, but aligned throughout the day, in thought, in word, in emotion, in action. The subconscious is not personal. It does not judge whether your affirmation is good or bad, right or wrong. It simply takes the impression and moves according to it. This is why affirmations can be dangerous when used carelessly. Speak often of your problems, your weaknesses, your limits, and the subconscious says, very well, and delivers more of the same. But speak of truth, of potential, of divine possibility, and it responds just as faithfully. The power is neutral. The direction is yours to give. You may not notice the shift immediately, but it is happening. Like water smoothing stone, like roots breaking through earth, the affirmation is doing its work invisibly. You may feel old emotions rise, resistance surface, discomfort stir. This is a sign the old beliefs are being challenged. Do not be discouraged. Keep speaking. Keep affirming. The subconscious is listening. It is learning a new language, and once it accepts this language as true, it will build a world to match it. The subconscious mind is your most faithful servant. It takes what you give it and multiplies it. If you give it fear, it builds from fear. If you give it truth, it builds from truth. It draws people, events, and outcomes that mirror the inner state. That is why hourly affirmation is such a powerful practice. Each hour becomes an opportunity to reinforce the truth, to course correct the mind, to remind the subconscious of its new assignment. There is no effort greater than reprogramming the self. And there is no reward richer than living from a mind that has been aligned with spiritual law through consistent, loving, truth-filled affirmation. Your word is your wand. The words you speak carry a vibratory power that shapes the unseen substance of the universe into form. Every word you utter is a decree, whether you speak casually, deliberately, joyfully, or in fear. The words do not vanish into thin air. They imprint the ethers and begin to move the forces of creation into action. You may not see it instantly, but the word spoken goes forth and does not return void. It accomplishes that which it was sent to do. There is no idle word. Every utterance builds or destroys, uplifts or diminishes, opens doors or seals them shut. The power is not in the volume or the eloquence, but in the vibration, the conviction with which the word is spoken. From the beginning of time, creation itself began with a word. Let there be is not just a phrase of ancient scripture, it is the formula of divine command. You, made in the image and likeness of your source, carry within you that same creative capacity. The moment you say, I am, you are setting the foundation of your reality. The moment you declare a thing, with emotion and repetition, the unseen begins to take shape around it. You do not have to understand the mechanism. You do not need to see the process. Just as you do not see the roots grow beneath the soil, you must trust that the power of your word is doing its unseen work. People often speak words carelessly. This always happens to me. I'm not good enough. Things never go my way. These are not harmless complaints. They are commands. They are affirmations of failure. And when spoken repeatedly, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. Your subconscious receives them as instruction. The law of mind acts upon them with precision. And so, the life begins to reflect the word. This is not punishment, it is law. And just as negative speech creates constriction, positive, aligned speech creates liberation. To say, I am healthy, even when the body shows symptoms, is not denial. It is spiritual assertion. You are not claiming the illness. You are calling forth the higher truth of your being. You are reaching above appearances and anchoring into the law. When you say, I am prosperous, while the bank account shows lack, you are not pretending. You are declaring what is true in divine mind. And because your word is your wand, that declaration begins to gather substance, people, ideas, and events to mirror your spoken truth. It is not necessary to use elaborate language. The universe responds to clarity, not complexity. The most powerful affirmations are often the simplest. All is well. I am safe. I am loved. Divine order governs my life. These phrases carry a vibration that calms the mind, reprograms the subconscious, and sends a clear message into the creative ethers. Spoken hourly, they build a wall of faith around the consciousness. They create a spiritual atmosphere that repels fear and attracts peace. But for the word to be a true wand, it must be spoken with authority. You cannot waver between truth and fear. You cannot affirm abundance in the morning and declare lack in the afternoon. The subconscious becomes confused by contradiction. The law cannot deliver two opposing results. You must choose, and once you choose, you must stand. Even if appearances tempt you to speak otherwise, you return to the word. You anchor in the truth. You say it again, and again, and again. Every hour is a chance to reset the vibration of your day, to catch yourself drifting into old speech patterns and replace them with new declarations. I can never get ahead becomes, everything I need is always provided. I'm always tired becomes, divine energy flows through me now. The moment you speak the new word, you shift the current. The tide turns. And if you hold that vibration, speak that truth with consistency, the outer world has no choice but to realign itself accordingly. The spoken word does not operate alone. It works in tandem with feeling, imagination, and belief. But it is the word that often activates the others. Speak a thing long enough and your emotions begin to shift. Your images begin to change. Your expectations begin to rise. This is why hourly affirmation is such a powerful spiritual discipline. You are not merely repeating, you are creating. You are chiseling a new identity, one word at a time, hour by hour, until the new self stands complete and visible. Words are also containers of consciousness. When you say, I am at peace, you are not just making a statement, you are summoning a state. The vibration of peace responds to that word and begins to fill your field. It shifts your chemistry, slows your heartbeat, calms your nervous system. In the unseen realm, the word is like a bell that calls peace from the heights of spirit down into your body, your thoughts, your home, your relationships. This is the magic of the word. It reaches where hands cannot. It travels faster than thought. It has no boundaries. It echoes in the silence and does its perfect work. Many carry words spoken over them in childhood, in moments of fear, in seasons of failure. Those words formed agreements in the subconscious. But every word can be broken by a higher word. Every curse can be dissolved by a blessing. Every negative affirmation can be overwritten by a divine declaration. I am enough. I am loved by life. All that is mine by divine right now flows to me. These are not just comforting statements. They are weapons of light. They pierce the darkness, they uproot lies, they restore the mind to truth. To use your word as a wand requires awareness. You must listen to yourself. You must notice the words you use when you're tired, stressed, disappointed. That is when the old patterns emerge. That is when the old programming speaks. But now you have a choice. Instead of repeating the familiar curse, you lift the wand. You speak the new truth. Even if your voice shakes. Even if you don't yet feel it. The power is in the saying. The feeling will follow. The evidence will come. You need not speak loudly. The whisper holds as much power as the shout when spoken with conviction. The law does not respond to volume. It responds to vibration, to clarity, to intention. When the word is spoken in alignment with divine law, backed by the authority of faith, it slices through resistance like a blade of light. When spoken hourly, with reverence and focus, it becomes an unbreakable rhythm, a pulse of truth that trains the mind, heals the heart, and brings order to the life. Words are spells. To spell is to cast, and you cast with every sentence you speak. So choose your words as a sculptor chooses the chisel. Let each one shape your reality with purpose. Let each one echo the truth of spirit. Let no word fall from your lips that you do not wish to see made flesh. Speak as one who knows the power of the word. Speak as one who commands the law. Speak as one who understands that the word spoken is the first movement of manifestation. That the invisible becomes visible through the door of speech. That your life, as it is now, is the result of words once spoken. And your life to come is the result of the words you choose today, this hour, and every hour henceforth. The divine pattern is perfect, and your only task is to align with it. You are not here to create perfection, for perfection already exists in the invisible. You are here to reveal it. Just as the rose does not struggle to bloom, and the tide does not argue with the shore, your good already exists in a state of completeness, awaiting only your recognition. The divine idea of your life, whole, abundant, joyful, peaceful, has been held in the mind of spirit since before you were born. It is your blueprint, your original design. The key is not effort but agreement. Affirmation is the tool by which you agree with the divine pattern. Every time you speak the truth, I am whole. I am guided. I am supported by life. You remove the dust that hides the gold beneath. You are not asking for something new to be created. You are allowing what already is to be revealed. You are clearing the fog from the mirror so the reflection of your divine self can shine forth. You are tuning yourself to the frequency where your good is already playing, like turning the dial of a radio until the music comes through clearly. You may have lived for years with a belief in struggle, with an identity wrapped in lack, with a consciousness tuned to delay and denial. But the divine pattern has not changed. It remains untouched. It is like the sun shining behind a curtain. Your hourly affirmation opens the curtain. A little more each time, until the light floods in. It is not that the light was absent. It was simply blocked by belief. Now you are making new choices. Now you are speaking in alignment with truth. And the pattern responds. The universe is not chaotic. It is governed by law, by symmetry, by precision. Your life is not random. Every condition is the result of a belief, either conscious or unconscious, that has been impressed upon the law. But when you begin to affirm truth hourly, you insert a new belief into the matrix. A belief that aligns with the divine order already in place. You say, I walk in divine timing. You say, the right people and opportunities come to me now. You say, everything is unfolding perfectly for me. These are not hopes. These are activations. These are signals that bring you into alignment with the pattern that already exists. There is a rhythm to the divine. The moon does not forget to rise. The seed does not forget to sprout. The seasons do not miss their cue. You, too, are part of that rhythm. But when the mind is filled with fear, with urgency, with resistance, it falls out of sync. Affirmation brings you back into harmony. It slows the racing thoughts. It cancels the false urgencies. It places your consciousness back into the flow of grace, where things unfold in perfect sequence, where there is no rush, no forcing, only allowing. Perfection does not mean flawlessness in the way the world defines it. It means completeness. It means nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing delayed. The divine pattern includes your healing, your success, your relationships, your purpose. But you must claim it. You must agree with it. Spirit cannot impose its will upon you. It awaits your cooperation. Your affirmation is your signal that you are ready, that you are available for the good that has always been yours, that you are willing to let go of the lesser to receive the greater. This is why hourly affirmation is so potent. It keeps your mind anchored in the truth. It prevents the old lies from taking root again. It trains the emotional body to stop reacting and start receiving. When you speak truth every hour, you are not begging. You're aligning. You're not pleading for a miracle. You're stepping into the stream where miracles are natural. You're not striving for success. You're allowing the divine pattern of your own success to unfold as it was always meant to. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not in need of fixing. You are in need of remembering who you are, remembering what life is, remembering the pattern that was placed within you before time. Affirmations are the language of remembrance. They call your consciousness back from its wanderings. They return your focus to what is eternal, unchanging, and whole. They restore the vision of your perfection until you see it not just in meditation, but in your body, your bank account, your home, your relationships, your work. There is nothing too big for the divine pattern. There is no condition that cannot be transformed by alignment. But alignment is not achieved by effort. It is achieved by resonance. And resonance comes through repetition. The more you speak the word of truth, the more you vibrate at its frequency. The more you say, I am supported, the more you feel supported. The more you say, I am in divine order, the more you begin to notice how everything fits, how even delays had purpose, how even losses were making room for something greater. Every time you affirm truth, you make a choice: the world of appearances or the world of spirit, the world of chaos or the world of order, the world of fear or the world of love. And with each choice, your path becomes clearer, your steps become steadier, your outer life begins to reflect the inner shift. That is the power of the hourly word. It is a steering wheel for the soul. It keeps you pointed toward the light, no matter how the winds of emotion or circumstance may blow. This divine pattern is not far away. It is not reserved for the worthy few. It is nearer than breath, closer than hands and feet. It is in your cells, your thoughts, your heartbeat. And it responds instantly when you speak in agreement with it. When you say, I am one with divine intelligence, doors open. When you say, I trust the unfolding, peace returns. When you say, everything I seek is seeking me now, you feel the tension lift and the current carry you. The world may say you must earn your good, hustle for your worth, chase your dreams with force and fight. But spiritual law is not built on hustle. It is built on harmony. You do not get what you chase, you get what you align with. And alignment begins in consciousness. It begins with thought. It begins with word. This is why the affirmation, spoken with conviction, is not just a positive statement. It is a spiritual command. It is a reordering of reality. It is the soul stepping forward to say, I remember who I am. I remember what is mine. And so you speak every hour, not to make something happen, but to open the channel wider. To let more of the divine pattern pour through. To let your mind and body and heart become instruments of that perfection. To allow the symphony of spirit to play through you, without interruption, without distortion. And as the affirmation flows, the pattern reveals itself, not just in ideas or moments of insight, but in tangible form, in healed relationships, in divine timing, in sudden solutions, in unexpected blessings, in everything flowing together with grace, precision, and rightness.